we're going to have a lightning talk session. That is a series of short talks from different speakers on a common topic. We'll hear stories from 3 of our guests on what it takes to build a successful career as a young professional with a global impact. Our speakers are Mirheta Omerovic, Zdravko Cvijetic, and Kerim Hadzic. They'll have 15 minutes for their speeches, and after all 3 of them are done, we're going to have a Q&A session with them. Our first lightning talk speaker is Mirheta Omerovic. Please join us on the stage.
Hi everyone. So, I'm Mirheta. I'm 28 years old. This is Zdravko. He's the next one. And I will talk in English because kind of since I'm 17 years old, I studied English, so it became a little bit difficult to translate the words all the time in my head. And meanwhile, I learned like 6 languages, so English is now almost like my mother tongue. So don't mind my accent. But, okay, let me start. So, 28 years old, I was born and raised, I was very cute. I was born and raised in a little village called Bjelave. That's the village next to a city called Srebrenik. It's not the one here in Sarajevo. And I attained my primary school since I was 6 years old. And I was a student of generation. So I will tell you now like little short success story, and then we will go back. So this is me. I think 6 months later I started to go to primary school. I draw a frog, very, very bad. And I was anyhow accepted there. And I was kind of superhuman in school. Why? Because I was doing things that you could not imagine. I was correlating things that you could not imagine correlate because, for example, I was dancing hip-hop and I was singing Ilahiye I Kaside. So, like, whenever people saw me, they were like, huh, you are doing all those stuff? And I was, by the way, on Olympics for physics and mathematics. So I was like, what the heck? Like, how can you like all those things? And that's kind of a curse, but it's also, of course, a privilege. So I ended up as a student of generation, and then I moved to high school. The decision moving to economics high school was also a big deal, because I was student of generation, and all my friends went to gymnasium, I suppose you say in English, and it was like, who is attaining economics high school? But I knew that I wanted to become financially independent woman, and economics for me was like, money, 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 must be funny, right? So, economics high school, I got very confident at that point, and I was, again, super active in different things, but mostly in non-governmental organizations. I was vice president of the network of the high school students for entire Bosnia and Herzegovina. I was vice president of association of the high school students. I was in Red Cross. I was all across, basically. And I was in accounting. I went also there for competitions and stuff. And then I was selected as student of generation. Later on, I moved to Italy to study economics again. I graduated with high honor, they say like that in Italy. I learned Italian language. I went to Sweden to study also for Erasmus. I learned a little bit Swedish. Jag heter Mira. It's not, Azra is not in public, right? Yeah, she's from Sweden. Whatever. At that point, I was also pretty much, let's say, confident that I knew in which direction I want to go. And then, after graduating bachelor degree, oh yeah, and by the way, at this point, studying my bachelor's, I was also very active in a thing called Model United Nations. Some of you know about it. It's basically where we, young people, pretend that we are politicians, diplomats. So like, oh, I found it so exciting. I was super excited about those opportunities. I was like, for example, in United Nations in New York. I was selected as the best young ambassador of Bosnia and Herzegovina. I was in Armenia, I was in Russia, in Austria, Germany. I don't remember anymore, but I traveled a lot. And the best thing about it was that I got funds, so I didn't have to pay anything. So this part, very much in newspapers. People were writing about me like, wonder kid, oh, she represents Bosnia ambassador. Great. Then I started my master's degree. I wanted a bigger challenge. So I signed up for a double master degree. One was in economics and management, and the other one was in economics and business. One was in Italy, and the other one was in Germany. That was not a challenge enough. So I signed up also for a college. Because you see, at this point, I was not learning about culture. I was learning to become rich. So I didn't care so much about culture. So at this point, I was like, I meet very clever people. They know a lot about culture. They know about Picasso. They know this. They go to museums. I need to, evolve as a personality, as a person. So I signed up for a college, also in Italy, and I got a scholarship there, and I studied, indeed, culture. I even brought Damir Imamovic, for example, to Venice. In Venice, I was studying, to teach people about Sevdah. It was a great experience. And at this point, I also worked at SSST here in Sarajevo. I did my internship there to see how it is to live in Bosnia. At this point, I really thought that I'm going to live here. Then I went to Council of Europe. I worked there also as an intern. By the way, don't forget, I was studying the whole time. And I worked on a project called Building Confidence Measures in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Very exciting for me, working with young people, seeing different faces of Bosnia, so to say. See also what Council of Europe is actually doing for us. They prolonged my contract. They gave me the job for a year. I was, at the same time, finishing my second master degree in Germany. So at this point, I already moved to Germany, to Stuttgart. And yeah, exciting times. Again, a lot in newspapers. People are writing, oh, Council of Europe, so young. Oh. I was like 20, 24, something like that. And then, after finishing these two master degrees, I got a chance to get my first official, so to say, internship in a thing that I was actually studying. Because if you recall, I study economics. So I got my first internship in finance. It was a disaster. I was 6 months crying. I was like, I don't like this. And it was at Mercedes-Benz, like everyone is dreaming about Mercedes-Benz. And my boss, after 6 months, told me, like, I would give you a job because you are good, you are okay, but you are so sad in front of your computer that I cannot do that to you. But at that point, I was like, I don't care. I need Aufenthaltstitelerlaubnis. I needed to stay in Germany. Because, we are not European Union, so we always need some reason to stay in a country. So I started to look for opportunities, and it was very quickly, I needed to find a job. And I signed up for being a business developer for digital solutions. It's like that. It does not relate so much to my studies, but at least it is something in business. And the woman who hired me told me, like, okay, you have no experience, zero. You have been like on these conferences, and you've done internship in this Sarajevo city. Where is that? And then you did like how that correlates to everything what we are looking for here. I explained her my values, ethics, who am I as a person. I will learn very quickly, and so on and so forth. And she proposed me to do a PhD. I was like, that's great, because I always wanted to teach. And I loved, as a student, when the professors would came who actually worked also in industry. I loved that, correlating theory and practice, amazing. So I accepted the offer. And I started my PhD at Mercedes-Benz. It was a 2,000 euro salary, was not bad. I was at that point accepting anything, so for me it was like, woohoo! After 800 as an intern, that was like, I was on a horse. So I started publishing my papers. And one of my papers, that's this picture here, was actually presented. I presented it in Hawaii, on Hawaii, doesn't matter. Very exciting. I got married, by the way, in between, so I brought my husband also. Company paid for me, but we had to pay everything for him, so we were like with zero money left. That was like the point of my time, and I was like, is it possible that we live with 400 euros in Germany? But we did, because we did it because we wanted to have this journey, and it was amazing. But the conference, of course, was the most important part. Then, after 2 years of writing my papers, working as a business developer, because I was also gaining experience in making digital businesses happen, I got this beautiful daughter. Her name is Dalia. I became mother. It changed me completely as a human being. I know your mothers say that, but it indeed changes your life. You get new life that you need to take care of, and you are responsible. Who is this person going to become? So I felt like a huge burden, and I wanted to be a good mom. I stayed a year with her at home, but I felt sad because I wanted also to do something. So I signed up for a job to work as a consultant for smart technologies. And I started to work in Mercedes-Benz Consulting. It's an internal consulting company for Mercedes-Benz. So we literally work in Mercedes-Benz. And now I work as a consultant for smart technologies, and actually am to publish also my 5th paper, which might not be enough for my professor to graduate anyhow, to get my PhD, but we will see. Now, let me go back, and I just have 4 minutes left. This girl has a father who suffers from schizophrenia. I suppose you say that in English like that. We find out that he has it when I was 5 years old. We were literally 2 years without any income. We had a cow, so I ate a lot of cheese and milk. It's strange that my bones are nonetheless very fragile, because I kind of had injuries 5 times or something. Whatever. At this part of my life, I was a sad little girl whose happy place was school. And other children could not understand that, because for me it was like, you have no idea what is real life and what is difficult, and school is amazing. School for me was the best place to be. I was literally living in school. I remember going back home 4 kilometers and then eating something, because we had no money for a sandwich, and then going back to school just to do like physics, mathematics, whatever, just not to think about what's going on in my family. This girl, high school, had no idea what she wants to do with her life. I was like, okay, I'm a student generation again, so people are telling me that I'm good enough, but what am I supposed to do? Because there were some private universities approaching me, even some universities, how do you say that, state universities, saying like, come with us, do a PR, you know, you're good with people, you can talk a lot, you can sell us. It's like, I don't want that. I want to learn. I want to become financially independent woman based on my values, and my values are moral and justice. And I was not sure that I could get that here. So that's why I said to my mom, look, I will look for scholarships. You give me just a little bit of money if you have something, and I'll go on my own. My mom gave me 500 euros, and she was like, I was saving this for your wedding, but apparently you are never going to get married, so just go. So I signed up for 3 different universities. One of them was in Turkey, because I was looking for scholarships. They didn't accept me, huge shock. But it was because of the age. I was still 17 back then when I was applying. Whatever, they got accepted me in Italy at the University of Ca' Foscari in Venice. And I remember on the entrance exam, I was so much shaking and I was pale that some guy went to my sister and told her, like, this girl is going to pass away, because I was so scared. What if this doesn't happen? Like, I'm going to go back to Bosnia, no university. Everyone is going to say that I'm a loser, because don't remember, I come from a small village. And in small village, stories are everything. What people say. And for my mom, unfortunately, of course, that's also important. And then I signed up. Of course, I passed the exam. But for the first year, I had no scholarship. I worked from Thursday to Sunday, 13 hours a day. I was selling mint oil to people in Italy, saying that it's Austrian oil. Actually, it was Japanese. And I was literally saying the same sentence for 13 hours. Vuoi una goccia sulle cervicali? Vuoi una goccia sulle cervicali? Vuoi una goccia sulle cervicali? I remember after like 6 months of doing that, I bought myself shoes, like orthopedic ones, because my feet hurted so much. But after a year and a half or something, I got scholarship. It was huge. I mean, for me, it was 4,000 euros. I was like, but you know what? I got another scholarship. Because when they saw my grades, they gave me the scholarship also for the first year. Like, they were like, we are sorry that we didn't give you the scholarship. We will give you now 8,000 euros. So I was like, what do I do with all this money? I bought myself a car, Renault Clio. I helped my mom with house. That is the part that I fight it with. What I fight it again with was in confidence. Do you say like that? In confidence? Because I was not sure, I need to sit down, my time is up, but I will finish the story. I was not sure, who am I? I went to Italy, and everyone was asking me, who are you? I was huge with respect to Italians. So I got really skinny, and you can imagine what a woman can go through when she wants to be really, really skinny. So I was not eating, I had eating disorders. And I was thinking and thinking, what is my purpose and who am I? Because this being Bosniak was something pretty fresh in my family. I didn't know if I'm that person. I didn't know if I'm Bosanka, like what does it say? Then everyone would ask me like, okay, are you a Catholic? Are you a Muslim? It's like, yeah, I'm Muslim. Okay, but why you do not wear hijab? Yes, because we can choose, but why do you choose like that? And then I started to think and like, who am I? What's going on? At that point, that was the most difficult part of my life, when I was just rethinking, who am I, what are my values? And it took me a hell lot of a time to realize what are my values, because at the end I said, that is what identifies me. Not the roots, of course, they're important, but like values identify you. Big learning lesson. Then I moved to the master studies. I went to Stuttgart. Can you imagine? You just learn new language, Italian. I became proficient in Italian. I was like, talking the whole time. And then I moved to Germany, and it's like, you need to learn German. If you want to accept, and if you want to be accepted in this country, you will learn German. I hate German language, okay? So it was for me like a nightmare. I really tried to look for opportunities that do not request German language. But eventually I learned that too. So at that part of the time, as I told you, I had zero money because I spent everything on moving out, moving in, going there, giving documents, translating them in English, in German, in this and that. And I traveled, I admit that, but I do not regret. I spent a lot of money on that. So at that point I was like, okay, if I do not get a job now, I go back home. And my mom would always say, you can always come back home. And for me it's like, no, that's not an option, Mom. Yeah. And that girl, before getting a kid, she was pretty self-confident. I was like, hell, I am the only person from Bosnia and Herzegovina. People even don't know where is that country, and I'm presenting some scientific paper here. Okay, I must be proud of myself. So I was like gaining confidence slowly. Then I became mom, very hard period, depression, anxiety. How am I supposed to bear the whole situation? You heard Nina talking. She said, there is a strong mom. Well, for me, that's difficult because my father is ill, so my mom cannot just come to Germany. So I was like, how am I going to manage all these things? Like, I have a kid, I have a family, I want my career, I want to work. So that's why after, I had 2 operations even there, so it's like a difficult period of time. But you also heard it was a beautiful period of time because I got myself a daughter, I got myself a baby. So it's beautiful, but at the same time, it has negative sides. And then lastly, I accepted that job in Mercedes-Benz because my boss has 2 little babies. He always understands when my baby is sick that I need to stay home. He always understands that my baby is priority. But anyhow, still, even doing that job, and I'm kind of a consultant for smart technology, so it's an interesting job. I'm still finding myself. And through the whole journey, I was finding myself. What do I want to do? So from I want to become financially independent woman, now I'm moving into a kind of a phase where I'm like, I want to get some purpose. My purpose is probably not selling cars. I want to get some purpose. So that's why I signed up for this foundation to become mentor, donor, and so on, because that is giving me indeed some purpose. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my story. Sorry for the time.
Thank you so much, Mirheta. Our next lightning talk speaker is Zdravko Cvijetic. He's an educator, author, and business owner. He wrote the first ever viral piece on the well-known online publishing platform, Medium, which generated over 15 million views.
Okay, is this working? Okay, 15 minutes and we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Zdravko Cvijetic, and I'm probably gonna do this in English. English or our language? What do you prefer? English? Okay, I'm gonna continue there. I forgot my presented. Okay, few minutes down the drain. Okay, I'm gonna talk about 3 chapters of my life and kind of try to reach a certain conclusion that's gonna benefit you. I'm originally from Bosnia. I spent 19 years of my life here. I was born in Banja Luka, but I grew up in Srbac, which is up north on the border with Croatia. Just like most of you, I was engaged in all sorts of activities beyond high school and so on. I was in youth parliament, youth bank, debate club, football, and so on. And I generally preferred this to actually engage in academic studies. Maybe that's why my average was 3.5, unlike certain people that were students of the generation. Now, the first realization for me was that I needed to kind of move on to the chapter number 2, which is I wanted to leave out of Bosnia and kind of see what other possibilities that are out there, other opportunities and so on. So the first stage was getting to somewhere else. In my head, I had a close connection with Belgrade, so I decided I want to apply for Andragogy. My original idea was I wanted to go into corporate world to become a human resources manager or something like this, because I didn't really have an idea of what life is supposed to be about. So I applied for Andragogy, which was supposed to be the best foundation for HR, talent development specifically, which is here. I see that the slide's a bit all over the place, so I'll just focus on myself for a bit. Andragogy was a double-edged sword in a sense that it provided me with the direction in life, but it also confirmed the fact that I didn't want to actually be a part of the corporate world. I realized that the structure and the bureaucracy and everything like this wasn't supposed to be my own path, but at the same time, I really didn't know what else will be. I joined ISIC student organization. Some of you might have heard it. Some of you might be a part of it. My assistant in university kind of convinced me to do so. And in ISIC, I found the world of training, facilitation, overall world of education, which is quite close to what I was studying at the time. And at the same time, it was kind of like a practical application of what I was learning in theory on the faculty. This just double confirmed my kind of realization that I don't want to go into corporate world. So I just dove and became passionate about trainings, workshops, speeches, conferences, and so on. And I really liked it. To a certain degree, I might have been an attention whore because standing in front of people and kind of talking, having all this validation and attention felt good to me. While at the same time, I just realized that the second part of the coin is always you learn something and then you teach it to other people. So for me, it always made sense. I would learn something and I would just train other people on the topic or the subject and so on. Now, throughout the faculty, I started my own kind of company. I was managing a consulting agency as well. Throughout all this experience, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is there on the slide, it says the second realization was that the offline world of education is quite limited by location, number of people, space, and so on, time. So I wanted to see how this could be scaled. At a time in ISIC, I was part of a global expansion committee, which is a team that operated virtually. And one of my friends, he was working for a company called Mindvalley. I'm not sure, has anybody heard of it, but it's a company called, it's located in Malaysia. It's a online education company in personal growth development space. Now, the reason why I wanted to go there, I hope the next slide is going to be functioning. Well, I guess not, so I'll just abandon this completely for now. Okay, perfect. Guess it works when I leave it. Okay? Anyhow, my idea was to go there and be like, okay, how do I learn to put specific knowledge or skills into the hands of anybody in the world? Whether they're from Japan, Australia, or Argentina, it really didn't matter to me. I just wanted to figure out how do you build this online? How do you use internet in order to scale it? And at a time, Mindvalley operated on a business model that's actually a business model of pretty much any online company in the world. It's you build a community and you sell to the community. In this case, it was you build an email list, you sell to the email list, which is a rather simple model. I was hired in Mindvalley as a learning experience designer. Basically, my job was to cooperate with New York Times bestsellers, authors worldwide, take their knowledge and help them, facilitate them in order to shape them into a curriculum, a course, a membership, or any kind of an educational product, and then sell it. Originally, I was a designer, then I took over a role of a team business director, and we were kind of creating and producing products in tune of maybe like 25 million, maybe a bit more, dollars a year. And I liked it, and it also gave me an insight into how this business model works. To a certain degree, it's kind of its own ecosystem. Now, at this time, as I became a team's director, I hired a guy called Raghav Haran. He wrote a case study how he used Medium.com to write 2 viral articles that gave him 12,000 email subscribers. Then he used that to monetize it and so on. And I was like, okay, this is completely new to me. I don't know what virality is. I don't know what Medium.com is. I didn't even know this was a possibility. My idea was I want to replicate the business model, build an email list, sell to the email list so I can quit my job, go to Thailand for a few months and figure out the meaning of life. So this was, I was looking at it quite short term. I started experimenting with virality for the better parts. Well, this needs new batteries, definitely. The process was then, how do I hack virality? Now, a disclaimer here, I don't have an inborn writing talent. My mom used to write my essays in high school, so I really don't know how to, I don't have a naturally inclined skill for this. But I have a really decently developed skill of aligning information and structuring them in a specific sequence. I mean, it comes in hand with developing curriculums, educational programs, and so on. So I was focused on this standpoint. My idea was quite simple. I will look at the internet, any format, writing, audio, video, images, GIFs, memes, and everything else, and I would try to analyze and find the pattern, what makes things go viral. What do people share? What's the human psychology about, social psychology? We share things that make us emotional, that are useful, that are valuable to other people, and so on. I shouldn't be doing this, okay? So I started applying this on a more of a narrow cosm, which was Medium.com. At the time, Medium.com was an open platform that allowed basically anybody without writing talent to come and share their writing. And if it's good enough, and if you hit the elements and the structure correctly and so on, it can be seen by a lot of people. The point was not only to learn how to write, but also how to build an email list out of it so I can monetize it later. Then I basically started a year of experimenting. In that year, I wrote a total of 14 articles. My 14th article was the most viral one. Each one before that was just basically an experiment. I would test out a variety of variables from duration, time, number of characters, images, topics, and so on, platforms, and how to share it. The reason why I'm sharing this is because the internet technology is just the future for us. Your generation is, in my opinion, much more advanced than my generation of millennials are. You operate faster, you assimilate the technology much, much faster. You're born in it, it's your default. So the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I want to give you kind of a sense of what online communities and possibilities of it can do. From a guy that doesn't speak English as a native language, also who doesn't have a natural writing talent. So if I was able to do something like this, I just want to open up possibility, kind of a perception that you could possibly do something similar if that was your goal. So I spent about a year, I had 13 articles, I call them special projects. I would experiment for like 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time for one article. I would test it, then I would analyze the data, feedback, and so on, then apply the learnings to the next article and so on. Each one was more viral than the one before. And then one last article, which I wrote actually on a plane ride, I think from Mexico to Malaysia. At the time I was living in Malaysia. The article was titled 13 Things You Should Give Up If You Want to Be Successful. I know it's a cliche title, but bear with me. The whole point of it was my goal was about 10,000 subscribers, which would be enough for a few $1,000s, and then I can go to Thailand on a beach somewhere and be like, yo, Z, what do you want to do? People generally call me Z. Then things kind of got out of hand, if I'm honest. I didn't expect as much virality as it happened, and it kind of just, how would you, well, my life kind of went crazy to a certain degree because this article brought in total that I can keep track of more than 50 million views. It was translated to, as it says, 30 languages, and it got me featured like all of these media publications where every blogger or writer would like to be featured on. But 300,000 email subscribers is actually what started becoming kind of a double-edged sword as well, which is because 300,000 email subscribers cost like $1,500 to $2,000 a month to run passively. And at the time, my salary was about $1,600. So it was basically covering I was going bankrupt, and I needed to launch something, but I didn't want to launch anything just for the sake of launching it. I'm not sure if this is still functioning. Now, I'll actually keep this for now. We got 4 more minutes. Okay. Now, this is the article that I wrote. It's a cliche article. It doesn't have real, in my opinion, value to the world. It was just perfectly executed article that's supposed to have all the elements of the pattern that increase the chance of something going viral. And it works pretty much the same on every platform. So principles for virality work in video format, audio format, podcasting, and so on. Music, all the way to the writing, books, articles, blogs, posts, and so on. When this started happening, as I said, my life kind of got crazy, and I got this huge email list, and suddenly that idea, that goal that I had, I was going to go to an island and just chill for a while I figure out the next steps. The entirety of my journey, when I was in high school, when I was in Belgrade, when I was in Malaysia, or any country that I've since lived or visited, I tried to focus on 3 things. I realized early on that coming from Bosnia, especially our generation, you don't have a lot of edge. You're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth. It doesn't happen. So you're born on a spectrum of, let's say, chances and opportunities slightly towards the left. As in, you gotta take more charge of your own life. And there are certain universal aspects that you're supposed to take charge of, which is time, skills, and relationships. The reason why I say relationships instead of people is because you have to intentionally choose what kind of relationships you want to have in your life. And I'll switch this to the last, but remember time, skills, and relationships. And the final one. Okay. This is the basic premise I operated my life on throughout this whole journey. This basic premise is what allowed me to accomplish, I would say, pretty much anything that I've accomplished so far. The clarity in life. So life is limited, right? It will end at one point. We assume, people are generally bad at projecting, we assume we have 30, 40, 50 more years, 60 more years, but reality is we don't know. So our time is hugely valuable. It's the most valuable aspect of it all. It's limited, and your goals, the idea of a life you want, the clarity of a life you want dictates what kind of skills you should acquire, what kind of habits you should build, and what kind of people you should have in your own life. If I retrospectively take a look at my entire life, even the goals that I've had to quit my job and do all these things, came back to the same thing. I would envision what I want to do, and I think the speakers before me and the speakers after me will say the same thing. This sentence here is what determines quite a lot of success in people's lives, because if you want to be healthy, if you want to lose weight, then that dictates what kind of knowledge you should acquire and skills you should be able to perform in order to achieve that goal. It also dictates what kind of behaviors you should exhibit on a daily basis. And for me, I tracked this in high school when I wanted to achieve something that would just dictate what I should be focusing on a daily basis, what kind of people I should attract in my life, network with, and so on and so on. I realized that in the age where there's a lot of, in the world where there's a lot of things that you simply cannot control, it's an absolute must. It's a prerequisite that you choose intentionally to focus on the things that benefit you. And to know which things are going to benefit you, you got to envision what are the things that you want in your life and revisit it every once in a while. And I don't mean what you want in your life as an inherited recipe that you were giving from your parents, your family, your environment and surroundings, but rather, what's the life that you want internally? If we talk about intuition, instinct, gut feeling, hunch, or whatever it is, what's something that feels right for you that will allow you to live this world on your own accord, authentically, originally, not by anybody else's rules and so on. Once you have this idea, whether that's a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years from now, and when you look back, it will give you an answer as to what are the knowledge, what are the skills, how you should use your time, and who are the people that you should keep in your life, maintain and kind of build those relationships, but at the same time, who are the people that you should sort of phase out the relationships. My time is up, and I knew it originally that 15 minutes, and I want to be mindful towards the next speaker and kind of give them their deserved time, but life is quite interesting. Here in Bosnia, due to everything that happened, we're kind of not in tune with the world as we should be. And the world and the number of opportunities and the number of things that you can focus on that will give you the edge are paramount. And keep in mind just one thing, as a generation, Gen Z, that will hold on the future in the decades to come, it's crucial for you to learn how to tune out the distractions, how to tune out the world and the people and the things that are not serving you. And the world is not built to provide you with the things that it serves, that are supposed to serve you. It's supposed to distract you. It's supposed to buy your attention, just like I bought the attention of 50 million people with an article that has 1,500 words. That's how it's supposed to work. So take control, choose where you want to direct next year, 2, 3 of your life, and then accordingly choose what are the things that are going to get you there. One by one, with enough pivoting along the way, with enough adapting and evaluating your choices, consequences, and so on, circumstances newly developed, you'll get there. And I don't know, even if you maybe don't end up in the place where you wanted to originally, you'll end up somewhere with enough golden nuggets and insight that are going to provide you value and the people around you. I'll stop for now. Here's my contact in case anybody wants to talk, ask questions and so on. I'm generally always available. So you can approach me later on a break or something. I'll be here if you want to chat. Thank you for setting aside time to listen to me. It was my pleasure to be here, and good luck to our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Zdravko. Lastly, we would like to welcome Kerim, a young entrepreneur and a co-owner of 2 Bosnian companies, Derubis Caravans and Melius Class. Additionally, he is a space engineering enthusiast and a polyglot fluent in English, German, and Chinese.
Dobro večer svima, ja ću ipak govoriti na bosanskom, pošto ja mislim da smo svi tu uglavnom poznavaoci našeg jezika. Nadam se slažemo. Vrijeme mi je počelo, ali nema veze. Ja mislim da svi ovdje imamo jednog zajedničkog prijatelja, makar velika većina, jedan od onih koji je najzaslužniji zašto smo mi svi ovdje, a to je gospodin Haris Lizde. Pa zatražio bi jedan aplauz za njega samo prije što ja počnem. Jel može prezentacija? Ja znam da ima jedan slajd, ali... super, ok. Ja nisam želio da ovo danas bude obična priča o tome kako sam ja živio negdje drugo, vratio se i tako dalje. Ja želim da danas uputim jednu inicijativu prema svima vama, dakle, publika je, koliko ja vidim, a ne vidim baš najbolje, ali siguran sam da sam dobro procijenio, sačinjena od ljudi različitih godina, različitih polova i tako dalje. I želim vam uputiti jednu inicijativu, možda čak dvije inicijative, zavisi kako to zaključimo na kraju razgovora. Dakle, moja tema se zove da li ćemo ikada ili da li smo ikada premudri da ne bismo imali mentore i zašto su djeca naša najvažnija investicija. Upravo ja mislim da je odgovor na pitanje ovih lightning talksa. Dakle, ja sam danas tu zato što sam imao mentore kakve sam imao u životu i kakve imam danas. Sada, pošto me često muči pitanje oratorstva kao takvog i uvijek nastojim da držim bolji govor od onog prethodnog, uvijek sam se pitao šta to čini dobre govornike boljim i kako postati najbolji govornik. Zaključio sam da bi bilo dobro u ovoj fazi mog života da imam dosta primjera bogatih sa kojima se publika može asocirati, koje može povezati možda u neki kontekst svog života. Sada, pošto je prvi dio mog razgovora, odnosno mog govora, dio o mentorima, ja ću početi i iskoristit ću u ovom govoru 3 primjera, a počet ću sa primjerom koji je vezan za ono što je možda mene definiralo ponajviše kao osobu u dosadašnjem tijeku mog života, a to je sport, stolni tenis. No, prije nego što to počnem, želio bih kazati zašto sam se odlučio ovako obratiti svima vama i zašto mislim da je ovo baš pravi način da pričamo danas. Dakle, ja smatram da smo mi kao civilizacija odbacili paradigmu koju smo imali kada smo živjeli prije, odnosno kada su oni koji su bili prije nas živjeli, a nismo, uslovno rečeno, nametnuli novu paradigmu civilizacije u kojoj živimo, odnosno nismo postavili novi sistem vrijednosti kojim se svi vodimo. I ja mislim da je zbog toga svijet u haosu, pa imamo tako fenomene globalnog zatopljenja, imamo ratove, monstruoznosti kakve smo viđali prije, istina, ali nikada ovako često i nikada ovako svirepo i uslovno rečeno nastrano. Dobro, da se vratimo na stolni tenis. Godina je nekada 2012. Ja imam 15-16 godina, idem na prvenstvo u Bijeljini. Dakle, potpuno nasumičan grad, potpuno nasumičan povod i hala gdje se igra stolni teniski turnir je 100 metara od okružnog zatvora. No dobro, igramo mi turnir i sada onaj koji je moj mentor u tom dijelu života je moj trener stolnog tenisa, čovjek koji zove Amar. I Amar sjedi u ćošku kao što se generalno odvija stolni teniski meč i ja u grupi izvučem čovjeka koji je u kolicima. Sada, ja nisam znao ništa o tom čovjeku i nisam znao otkud on tu i zašto je on tu. Ispostavit se, čovjek je osvajač medalje na Paraolimpijadi u Londonu 2008. Dakle, to je neka 2012-2013. On i dalje igra. Čovjek je apsolutna zvijer, ali ja nisam znao ko je on, ni odakle dolazi, ni zašto je baš tu i zašto su ga pustili da igra sa nama koji smo uslovno rečeno normalni. Ovo je grozno što sam rekao, ali ja sam mislio tako i bio sam tada dijete i zato mi je iskreno žao. Sada, krenuo je meč i bilo je bara. Sada, u nekom smislu, jako je neugodno kada imate preko puta nekoga koji je u kolicima, kada igrate stolno tenisko pole profesionalno i želite da ostvarite najbolji mogući rezultat, kao naravno svaki natjecatelj u jednom trenutku. Međutim, bojim se da ja tada u tom trenutku nisam imao pravilno postavljene vrijednosti. Ja sam bio zbunjen i nije mi bilo jasno kako to da ja igram prvo sa čovjekom u kolicima, a drugo, da li će se meni drugi smijati ako ja izgubim od čovjeka. Sada, vrijeme je teklo, set je išao, naravno, to se brzo izvuče i ja sam izgubio. I meni je to donekle bilo onako, naravno, kao nakon svakog poraza, bilo mi je krivo, ali trener me stavio pred sebe poslije, iako je stariji samo 7 godina od mene, i rekao mi je: ti si izgubio zato što tvoje vrijednosti nisu bile pravilno poredane. Ti si izgubio zato što si razmišljao da li će te biti stid ako izgubiš, a ne da li ćeš biti zaista bolji i da li ćeš biti lošiji. Sada, ja sam naravno, kao što sam rekao, to izgubio i nemam žala sada jer sam puno naučio iz poraza i to je ono što ja generalno mislim slijedim kao moto u života, to je da puno više učimo iz poraza nego iz pobjede. Pobjede nam ne koriste toliko koliko koriste porazi. To je prvi mentor u mom životu koji je bio ozbiljan, naravno izuzev porodice i kao osnovnog embrija društva. danas, 10 godina unaprijed, ja sam postao njemu mentor. Kao što ste čuli u uvodu, ja se bavim nekim privatnim biznisom i pokušavam nešto da radim, a danas ja njemu dajem lekcije iz biznisa i on mene sluša i on mene slijedi jer radimo zajedno, uvozimo iz Kine rezervne dijelove za one Xiaomi skutere. Ja sam živio u Kini pa imam tih nekih vezica. Ali on i tako mene mentorira i tako mi pokazuje da kada je on bio mentor meni, a sada sam ja mentor njemu, on mene sluša i on mene voli i cijeni zato što ja njemu pomažem kao takav. No dobro, on je samo jedan, a vraćat ćemo se na priču o tome svakako. Broj 2. Imam u svom životu čast da ih mogu nazivati prijateljima, 2 akademska profesora, jedan od njih je u Pulici. Jedna gospođa je profesorica matematike, a drugi gospodin je profesor ekonomije. I ta profesorica matematike je neko ko mene slijedi dugo u životu i neko ko me tjera da budem naučnik, da uradim PhD. Ja sam odbio već 3 PhD-a u životu i tako. Ona mene mentorira tako što mi na jedan najsuptilniji, a opet na najdirektniji način gura u lice to da ja moram da studiram i da učim matematiku da bih bio bolji čovjek i da bih imao bolju perspektivu i bolji pogled na svijet, jer je ona matematičarka, a oni su najbolji. Jel' tako? Ok. Drugi čovjek koji se pojavio u mom životu nedavno, to je profesor ekonomije, kao što sam rekao, i on mi je pokazao misli koje su usmjerene ka ovome što ja vama danas govorim. Dakle, ja sam mislio danas početi ovaj govor sa mišlju starijeg brata Volta Disneya, Roya Disneya, koji je rekao da donošenje odluka neće biti teško kada imate uspostavljen sistem vrijednosti. Ja mislim da je to istinito i zato sam mu duboko zahvalan što mi je rekao. Rekao mi još jednu stvar, da je postao jedan čovjek, on je preselio, ja mislim, 2016. godine, koji se zvao William Bill Campbell, koji je bio trener svim značajnijim izvršnim direktorima u Silikonskoj dolini. I on je zaključio kako u svom životu nikada ne bi bio uspješan executive kao što bi bili oni, ali bi bio uspješan kao njihov trener i mentor. I zato sam mu isto duboko zahvalan. By the way, ovo je svakako zahvala mojim trenutnim mentorima, a testament ljudima kojima ću ja biti mentor, nadam se jednog dana. Treći primjer nalazim u Vitezu u kojima imam jedan biznis, a našao sam ga na pumpi Petrol koja se nalazi nedaleko od ulaza u Vitez. Upoznao sam čovjeka jednog dana slučajno kako sjedi i pije, sad svi znate, Vlahov, vrsta travarice, brendije, kao god hoćete, i sjedi na benzinskoj pumpi. Sada znate generalno šta je opšte mjesto u našem društvu glede ljudi koji sjede i piju neku vrstu jeftinog alkohola na benzinskoj pumpi. Međutim, bio sam u krivu. Ovo je u stvari poruka i pouka da se mentori nalaze na najneobičnijim i najčudnijim mjestima i nikada ne znamo kada ćemo ih sresti. Na kraju, taj će me čovjek upoznati sa čovjekom koji je pisac spornog aneksa 7 Dejtonskog sporazuma, a koji živi u Edinburgu. Taj čovjek će postati neko koji je meni alfa i omega u životu, od kojeg ja danas jako puno učim, a danas je galamio na mene 15 minuta preko telefona i to moja djevojka zna. Ali sam mu jako zahvalan za mnogo stvari i to mentorstvo koje on meni dao je neprocjenjivo, a s druge strane ja sam njega vratio u život. Odnosno, dao sam mu razlog da više ne sjedi na benzinskoj pumpi. Ja mislim da je to fair razmjena. Ono što me još naučio, a što je drugi dio moga razgovora, je kada je svoje 2 djece, svoja 2 sina, poslao u Njemačku. Sada zašto? To je čovjek koji ima ogromnu količinu nekretnina u srednjoj Bosni i prije imao firmu koja ima 100 radnika. Imao je 2 sina koja su, jedan je mlađi, jedan stariji od mene, i rekao im je: vi niste sposobni da preuzmete moju firmu i zatvorili svoju firmu. To je bilo prije 5 godina. Onda ih je poslao i sada njih dvojica polažu, jedan polaže kablove, drugi polaže cijevi za plinske instalacije u Njemačkoj. I rekao im je: to je to što je vaš domet, vi ne možete više. Ja sam možda kriv za to, ali ja bih se ogriješio prema vama kada bih vas natjerao da radite više. I tako mi je pokazao da budem dovoljno samokritičan da priznam čak sebi one najgore stvari. Jer, kao što je Winston Churchill rekao, sada reći ću ovo na bosanskom, pa ako ne bude dobro reći ću na engleskom, da živimo od onoga što dobijamo, a da pravimo život od onoga što dajemo. Dobro. Ja sam, i priznat ću ovo sada otvoreno, iako mi je osoba koja je spremala sa mnom ovaj govor rekla da ne kažem, ja sam insistirao donekle od svog malog rođaka da upiše jednu sarajevsku gimnaziju koja nije za njega. Jer on nije bio spreman za to i on je preslab i to se danas pokazuje i mislim da sam načinio grijeh. No dobro. Prelazimo na temu zašto su djeca naša najvažnija investicija i otkud ova slika na prezentaciji. Ja mislim, kao što sam rekao s početka, da sistem vrijednosti koji smo mi djelimično samo usvojili, a ne do kraja i zbog toga imamo ogromne probleme, treba pomoć. A kada analiziram sistem vrijednosti, pored porodice ne mogu da ne pomislim na sistem edukacije, pa krenuli mi od vrtića, pa dalje išli edukativnim sistemom kroz osnovne i srednje škole, pa onda i univerzitete. Postavlja se jedno pitanje, isključivo jedno. Da li su profesori u 21. stoljeću, uz dužno poštovanje svim profesorima u publici, nastavnicima također, akademskom osoblju uglavnom, da li su oni antiheroji našeg vijeka? Da li su oni koji tvore ovo društvo ovakvim kakvim jeste? I to je ključno pitanje današnje prezentacije koju želim da ponesete sa sobom kući. Pored porodice koje je embrio ovog društva i koje razvija sve što bi trebalo razvijati u jednom čovjeku, mislim da edukativni sistem treba redefiniciju i treba pomoć. Zato želim, danas kada odete kući, da svako od vas, ma koliko stari mladi bili, nije važno, smislite po jednu inicijativu kojom ćete učiniti vaše okruženje, vašu neposrednu sredinu boljom. Sada, zašto ovo govorim? Pored ovozemaljskih zaduženja od kojih živim, volim kazati da sam predsjednik studentskog kluba danas, isti onaj za koji sam igrao kada sam izgubio čovjeka u kolicima, i član sam jednog, uslovno rečeno, savjetodavnog odbora pri jednoj Sarajevskoj gimnaziji. I mnogi stariji od mene koji se nazivaju mojim prijateljima, možda savjetnicima, možda saradnicima, me kude zašto gubim vrijeme, uslovno rečeno gubim, zašto trošim vrijeme, uslovno rečeno trošim, na djecu, investiciju, edukaciju i obrazovanje. Ja ipak smatram i duboko sam uvjeren kako ja ne bih mogao mirno spavati sa sobom, znajući da mogu da učinim nešto za naš edukativni sistem, i ovo je naravno velika zahvala Bosnia Futures Foundationu što radi puno u smislu edukacije. Nije još završeno vrijeme, ali sve ok. Važi, super. Ne bih mogao mirno spavati. Sada, Balkan kao regija jeste mala, geopolitički izmučena na mnogo načina, i mislim da smo u središtu nekih drugih prepucavanja i konflikata za koje mi nismo direktno ni izbliza krivi. Ali zato vas molim da kada dođete kući, možda čak i na pauzi, nije isključeno, razmislite o tome šta možemo uraditi za edukativni sistem, šta možemo uraditi za obrazovanje kako bi nam svima bilo bolje. Jer ponavljam, ako su profesori naši antiheroji, možda jesu, ne mogu osporiti. Ako su oni naši antiheroji, ko su onda oni koji oni proizvode? I šta će oni donijeti dalje? I to me iskreno muči. I zato sam odlučio da danas govorim na ovu temu, a ne kako sam dizajnirao neku kućicu i slično. To nije to. Zaključno, ovo će možda biti prvi govor koji sam završio prije vremena, ali ne želim da zaista duljim. Mevlana Rumi, vjerovatno jedan od najboljih pisaca svih vremena, sad ovo govorim striktno kao istorijska ličnost, ni blizu kao neka religijska ličnost, je rekao da budemo ljudi koji su ne kap u okeanu, nego okean u kapi. I to što mi je ovaj profesor ekonomije rekao i ono što me glavno privolilo njemu je u stvari da čitam neke bosansko-hercegovačke pisce koji su možda imali ozbiljnije misli od Lava Nikolajevića, Tolstoja i slično, a to su ljudi poput Ive Andrića, Meše Selimovića, Čopića ili Kiša. Dakle, da, okean u kapi. No dobro, zaključit ću sa jednom mišlju. Sada, kada imam 25 godina i da se vratim u istu onu halu u Bijeljini koja je 100 metara od okružnog zatvora, ovaj put bih možda opet isto izgubio jer je čovjek objektivno bolji od mene. I jer je, ponavljamo, svoju bronzu na Paralimpijadu, to nije šala. Ali ovaj put bih zaista gubio iz pravih vrijednosti. Hvala vam puno. Samo jedna stvar, ostalo mi je minut, jel' tako? Razlog zašto je ovo bilo na prezentaciji, možda u prezentaciji samo nazad. Ok, Azize, ovo je za vas. Profesor me naučio jednoj latinskoj izreci divno, ja želim da je svi ponesete sa sobom, a to je nula dies sine linea. Dakle, 0 dana bez linija. Please, čitajte knjige, bit će vam svima bolje. Hvala vam još jednom.
Thank you for these great insights, Kerim. Now we would like to ask the remainder of our lightning talk speakers to come back up on the stage for a rapid Q&A session. So due to time constraints for today, we are going to have to keep it brief. So we will need one question per speaker. And we're going to start off with Mirha. Any questions for Mirha?
Meni je iskreno najzanimljiviji dio bio vaš, tako da zato i hoću da uzmem ovu priliku.
Heard that, guys? Jel to što sam žena?
Pošto dosta se osjećam s vašom pričom, šta je vama najviše bilo motivacija da, iako tako težak period bude na vama, da nastavite dalje? Da doslovno date se od sebe?
Šta mi je najveća motivacija bila?
Da. Prije djeteta, tako da.
Prije, okej. Hajde, dobro. Evo, Kerim se je dotakao toga. Ego igra veliku ulogu u nama svima. Mi svi imamo jednog dobrog i onog zla. Znate kako je Rumi rekao? Svi imamo onog dobrog i lošeg u sebi. Ja sam, recimo, u jednom periodu života htjela da budem uspješna i poznata žena. Uopšte mi nije bilo važno. U suštini jes meni bilo važno, tako je vrtila sam se oko politike, ali nisam ja suštinu svog djelovanja shvatala. Ja sam željela promjenu za svoju zajednicu, za svoju državu. Stvarno sam doista vjerovala da ću ja biti glas Bosne i Hercegovine. I onda su se naravno lagano prioriteti mijenjali u životu. Ali šta me je uvijek vodilo kroz cijelo putovanje je definitivno bio novac. S jedne strane. Ja znam, mislim, sad ćete svi misliti, meni je bilo vrlo važno da ja imam para. Zato što kad odrastete kao dijete, nemate para da kupite sebi salamu za sendvič, mislim, onda vam postane vrlo bitno da ste sposobni sami sebi kupiti salamu. Stvarno, ljudi, ja sam bila željna Eurokrema. Onda prođe taj period i vi vidite, aha, mogu sebi sve kupiti, mogu sebi sve priuštiti, mogu sebi platiti putovanje u New York, šta ja znam. Onda već počnete, pa dobro, sad sam na tom određenom nivou, sad tražite drugu motivaciju. Onda je postala ta motivacija svrha. I to je kad sam rekla sad na kraju tog putovanja, u suštini već kad sam krenula sa doktoratom, počela sam preispitivati svoju svrhu svog postojanja, bukvalno, jer stvarno mene Bog stvorio da ja radim, zaradim, obezbijedim dijetu, sjedim, mislim, nije sjedim, radim, naravno, crnčim. Nije mi imalo smisla da mi je to svrha života. Naravno, rod dijete jeste velika stvar, ali ja želim i vjerujem da svrha mog života je nešto drugo. I nadam se da kroz neke druge aktivnosti, svoje postojanje, ću doprinijeti, hajde tako kažem, napretku našeg društva. To je sad trenutno ide u tom smjeru. Evo, možda dotakli su se kolege prije klimatskih promjena i svega. Ja recimo počnem sve više i više da razmišljam o tome i da se doista pitam. Jer kada dobijete svoje dijete, počnete razmišljati hoću li ja stvarno biti tako neodgovorna i ostaviti svijet u rukama svog djeteta takav kakav će biti, sa cijelim tim CO2 otiskom. Možda će tu biti moja sljedeća svrha i možda će tu biti moja sljedeća motivacija. Vi svi za sebe morate definisati i u redu ako je novac. Mislim, nemojte se toga stidjeti, to ne treba se toga stidjeti. To je nekad za ljude egzistencija, normalan, prosječan život, middle. Znači, to je meni bio prva motivacija, a sad je već traženje svrhe. Tako. Nadam se da sam pomogla svojim odgovorom, ali u suštini ti to moraš naći u sebi, u svom srcu i onda kreirati mindset da to i dostigneš. Hvala.
Hvala, Mirha. Sljedeće pitanje ide Zdravku.
Hvala najljepša. Smatram da je mlada djevojka napravila odličan uvod za ono što je za mene lično duo dva najinteligentnija, dovitlija, mudrija, a na tako jednostavan način podijeljena govora u ova 2 dana. I odlična uvertira možda za ovo što slijedi i u završnici. Pohvalio bi naravno i gospođicu u sredini, a i njih dvojicu, jer smatram da naročito u slučaju Kerima, koji je, eto, među rijetkima se odlučio pričati na našem jeziku, na tako jedan pitak način i vrlo jednostavnim, a ipak akademskim rečnikom podijelio nešto što je važno za sve nas, da se imao dojam da čak i na onom kineskom bi nešto korisno uzeli za sebe. Jedina stvar, a nemam pitanja jer ste bili vrlo efikasni, neki manje, neki više sa vremenom. da zaista nemam pitanja osim možda za Zdravka u ovom domenu andragogije. Koji su to koraci, jer poput tebe student sam ljudskih resursa, trener maloj djeci u osnovnoj školi, volio bi da, mislim da sam im ujedno i neka vrsta prijatelja, pa onda mentora i trenera, povremeni pisac na Mediumu, ali ne sa fokusom na viralno, nego na onu terapeutsku neku svrhu pisanja bloga. Da li ima samo još neka sugestija koji su bili tvoji koraci koji su utabali taj put da ti sutra nekome budeš mentor?
Prvo, hvala na pitanju. Odgovorit ću na našem, ako može. Internet je, po mom mišljenju, otklonio barijere. Prije 30-40 godina, da bi neko ostavio određeni sadržaj, određeno znanje na internetu ili bilo gdje, moralo da se prođe kroz te određene barijere. Ako je to u muzičkoj industriji, onda su to bile izdavačke kuće, imamo izdavačke kuće i za pisanje itd. itd. Moje mišljenje je da se vraća na tu apsolutnu kontrolu, da se bira put. Naprimjer, u tom slučaju ako ideš putem ljudskih resursa, HR-a i to, imaš tu korporativnu instancu, mada ne moraš da imaš. Postoji consulting agencije, postoji HR agencije, postoji niz načina, drugačijih formata kako ti možeš određeno znanje da preneseš. Moja logika je uvijek bila da su to dvije samo strane jednog novčića. Uvijek je bilo to da se nauči nešto i najviše se nauči nešto kad se uči drugi ljudi. Znači, to je možda donekle sebično, ali i dalje stvara određenu vrijednost. I onda je meni nekako imalo smisla. Posebno, prokomentarisat ću ovo, pa ću onda pustiti da dođe i do Kerima sljedeće pitanje, ali šta Elon Musk ili šta neko radi koji 20-30 godina, čitave 1-2 generacije iznad nas, aplikacija toga na okolnosti koje ti sada živiš nisu nužno moguće. Ne može se uraditi na najefikasniji način. I onda tebi lično za tvoj dalji napredak nema smisla da tražiš, na primjer, najboljeg HR-a na svijetu i da učiš neko ko ima 70 godina, već ima neko ko ima 35 ili 40 godina i kida u tome što ti želiš da bude tvoje sljedeće poglavlje. I onda iz tog razloga je neophodno da šta god vi uspijete individualno, svako od vas, da li su to hobi od plesanja, do ping-ponga, do jezika, do ne znam nija čega, i da se automatski prenosi na sljedeću generaciju, zato što je aplikacija tog znanja najbolja i najefektivnija u datom trenutku kad je najsvježija. Danas znanje najbrže zastarjeva u odnosu na bilo koju generaciju do sad u ljudskoj vrsti. I onda iz tog razloga najbolje je meni lično najkorisnije učiti iz nekog ko je, ajde kažemo, 3, 5, 10 godina ispred mene, a ne neko ko je 30, 40 godina, gdje stvari, fundamentalni principi na osnovu kojih se oni baziraju, ne mora nužno da se prilagodi na osnovu to koja je moja realnost sada. Ne znam da li si ti odgovorio pitanje uopšte, ali...
I na posljedku pitanje za Kerima.
Evo ja ću ustati, pošto mislim da sam malo zaklonjena ispred. Kolega je već pohvalio Kerimov vrlo precizan i pitak način prezentovanja. Moje pitanje je, odnosno moram se prvo samo osvrnuti, moji najznačajniji dosadašnji mentori u vrlo kratkom, priznaću, iskustvu su bili ljudi koje ja nisam u tom periodu života posmatrala kao mentore. I vjerujem da se zbog toga nisam adekvatno ni postavila, ne zbog nedostatka poštovanja, nego nisam znala iscrpiti taj izvor na način na koji sam trebala. A zaista mentori nisu osobe koje su formalno samo mentor, nego, kako si rekao, osobe sa kojima se možemo na pumpi susresti i tako dalje. Kako da se adekvatno mi postavimo tu da možemo bolje da prepoznajemo ljude kao naše mentore?
Hvala puno na pitanju, hvala na lijepim riječima. Možda, pošto Zdravko nije htio meni da krade vrijeme od odgovora, možda ćemo on i ja ovaj odgovor podijeliti. Ali prvo, jel mogu ja da odgovorim, pa onda i ti daj peace of your mind. Cool. Važi. Čuo sam, hvala ti. Super je pitanje, samo da lijepo sročim odgovore. Samo koja sekundca. Možemo krenuti od koncepta ukupne emancipacije društva i ukupne emancipacije naših razmišljanja i otvorenosti ka novim mentorima. Sada mogu iskoristiti primjer, on je već sada, ja bih rekao, klišije knjige, iako mislim da je to grijeh, 40 pravila ljubavi. I kako likovi jedni drugima su u stvari mentori i kako oni uče jedni od drugih. I to je fakt. Ali mislim samo da ja sam bio sposoban ovo da prepoznam, kao što sam rekao, jer je tako pitanje cijelog govora, kako smo prešli ovaj put, sve to što smo radili. Upravo je to moj put. I to je gospodin koji je govorio prije nas svih jako lijepo rekao da nije fora 0 ili 1, fora je ono što se dešava između. Mislim da je to najbolji izazov i to je ono što nas čini onim što jesmo. Dakle, neka ukupna emancipacija naše glave i sposobnost da razumijemo da ti ljudi nama žele uslovno rečeno dobro, mada mentori ne moraju uvijek željeti dobro. Jel' tako? Može biti to stopolarno, ne mora biti bipolarno. I jako sam sretan što si kazala, to što si kazala, samo naprijed. Hvala puno još jednom na pitanju. Zdravko.
Eto to, wrap up Q&A. Hvala publici na pitanjima, hvala vama na predivnim odgovorima. Hvala.